Hi everybody, it's good to be back. It's been a long time since my last video, actually about 5 years to be honest. Um, I didn't think I would go back to YouTube anytime soon, or at all, but to be honest, lately I've been in a bit of a dark place once or twice, and I'm a little afraid of going back out there, um, sending my message into the void of the world. But I realized something during this quarantine of 2020, 2021, right? I'm not alone. There's a lot of people out there who might need to talk to somebody, who might need to listen to somebody telling them that it's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be fine, because I really needed to hear that myself. So I decided to restart my YouTube channel in the hope that it's going to help somebody, even a little bit. And I want to focus on many things that have helped me get through some difficult times, like, for example, cooking. So my first comeback video is going to be about very delicious comfort food that my mom used to make for me when I was a kid. It's called Serbian style scrambled egg pudding. Um, I hope you like it. Please enjoy. And don't worry, you are not alone.
This recipe is essentially very simple to make. It only requires three base ingredients: bread, eggs, and some milk. The bread can be stale or fresh, it doesn't really matter. Generally it's one slice and one egg per person, but feel free to adjust. The good thing about this recipe is that it really lends itself to customization quite easily. I'm going to add some yogurt, some butter, some mushrooms, a few chives, some cheese that my mom was kind enough to send to me from my hometown, some fat, which we will need to grease the pan, and some cured meat, also from my hometown. And finally, a couple of olives, why not? Now, the way we make this is by crumbling the bread first. If you have fresh bread, then just tear it apart like I'm doing here. But if you have stale bread, feel free to crush it with your hands until you have smaller pieces. The size of the pieces doesn't really matter much because everything is going to get, well, smushed together. Even though that doesn't really sound nice, but that's how it's made. To the torn bread, I'm going to add some pepper. And by some, I mean a lot of pepper, because I really love black pepper. However, feel free to omit it if you don't want it, or add more if you like it more. It's up to you. Be creative. You are in control here. Add some salt, not too much. And I'm also going to add powdered chicken stock. I'm not going to show you any brand, but I've made a label for these purposes. The powdered chicken stock, of course, is optional, but it does give it a bit of depth of flavor, you know? It tastes amazing. Now, the milk and the yogurt, I'm going to put them at the same time. The important thing here is to not oversaturate the bread with the liquids. A little bit goes a long way, but also don't put too little liquid. The bread needs to get soggy. It needs to absorb all of the liquid and the eggs later on. So after adding milk and yogurt, or if you don't want yogurt, you can add double quantity of milk. It's up to you. Be free to experiment. Mix it well and add the other ingredients. What I'm going to do here is finely chop the chives to get most of the flavor out. I would suggest you do the same thing, but the size, again, doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want, really. Just be careful with the knife, don't cut yourself. The next ingredient are going to be mushrooms. These mushrooms are called shimeji, and they're quite common in Japan. One of the most popular varieties, actually. I like them, but I think the root can be a little hard, so I've cut it off and threw it away. The mushrooms are also getting finely chopped, as well as the meat. Now, this meat is cured pork. It's been brined or salted, smoked, cured outside, and check how thinly it's sliced. It's beautiful. Of course, this is just an optional ingredient. You can add bacon, you can add raw ham, you can add nothing. It's completely up to you. Like I said, feel free to experiment, feel free to be yourself, feel free to be creative. This is one thing when you are in control, so don't be afraid to experiment. Finally, let's chop some olives. Of course, if you like black olives, feel free to add black olives. If you don't like olives, then don't add them. Add something else. It's completely up to you. The good thing about chopping up all of these extra ingredients is that you don't really have to pay much attention to their size, because some of them, the smaller ones, are going to melt into the concoction. The bigger ones are going to stay as bite-sized bombs of flavor, and in the end it's all going to come together wonderfully. Now, this cheese is, oh, you guessed it, also getting chopped into tiny bits of varying sizes, and while frying the eggs, the cheese is going to melt and permeate the bread and the eggs and help coagulate the pudding eventually. Most important thing to do here is to mix everything well. And I mean really, really well. After adding the eggs, I'm going to mix the whole batter. Well, I say batter, but actually it's just scrambled egg mix. I'm going to mix everything for about 5 or 6 minutes. The butter that I'm adding here is going to release an additional amount of fat while frying, and it's also going to help prevent the eggs from sticking to the frying pan. The eggs I'm using here are just honestly the cheapest ones I could find at the supermarket, but there's nothing wrong with them. If you have free range eggs, go ahead, use those. If you have chickens, use your own eggs. What we're doing here is we left the mix to stand for about 5 or 6 minutes so that the bread can soak up all of the liquids and all of the eggs. I've mixed it for a couple of minutes again, and now it's time to fry. I'm putting the fat into the frying pan to render. When it starts smoking, add the eggs and turn down the heat to low heat. The heat has to be low because anything greater than that is going to result in a crisp outer skin and uncooked insides. Fry this, like I said, at low heat for about 5 to 10 minutes until you get this kind of consistency. Just fold and spread and fold and spread until it becomes gooey like this. This is done. You can now serve it, and this is how I've chosen to do it. I hope you like it. Have a wonderful day.